let's talk about Harry Brook then. Harmy, you're there. You've looked into his eyes. The news that he wasn't alone at the nightclub in Wellington. Many people suspected that. Who goes to a nightclub by themselves after a few beers with the lads? It turns out that Jacob Bethel and Josh Tongue were with him at the time and were fined, which means that the hierarchy must have approved the initial mea culpa statement from Harry Brook, which was a lie, in which he said that he was there alone. There are those who say, well, that's not Harry Brook's fault. Yes, he lied. His I'm sorry statement was a lie when he said he was by himself. But there are others who say that, as I said, it was approved. That statement was approved by his bosses, which does make it very difficult. I have to say, I've been a massive fan of Rob Keys, and I'm almost loath to ask you, because you've been friends with him all your cricketing life. But my goodness me, we talk about Harry Brook's position being untenable, but what about Rob Key?
I think it all needs looking at. I think you know me, I'll never shirk a question or sort of, I'll always have an opinion or a stance. But I think this situation, once this World Cup's finished, I think they need to have a total overview of what's happened over the course of the last, could even be 18 months in English cricket, because there's a lot of things being done, a lot of things being said, and where we are. I mean, I struggle to understand. I mean, Keezy's brilliant when it comes to the media. Keezy's, he didn't need to take the managing director's job of English cricket because he's that good in the media. So he took the job because ECB wanted something different. Now, unfortunately, if these two guys have been, Bethel and Tongue have been fined, I thought Rob would have navigated that conversation with Nasser Hussain and Michael Atherton in such a way where he wouldn't have to say, we haven't had any incidences in the 4 years we've been here. And Harry Brook coming out. You look at Rob Key's position, you look at Brendan McCullum's position, even to the fact that Harry Brook was put in front of the media. England have got a great media operations. Danny Rubin's one of the best I've seen in English cricket. I think we'll all concur with that. But as soon as Harry opened his mouth and said I was there on my own, how has somebody not butted in and gone, Harry, hold on, we're going to hold a press conference. Take him to one side and say, look, you're going to have to clarify that is not what you were meant to say. Because you saying, it's right for you saying, yes, I was on my own to your bosses, and then 2 days later, you find out you weren't on your own. Then, obviously, you're trying to protect your teammates. I've got no problem with that in private. Good on you. Well done. But you weren't on your own. You were with two other team members who have also been fined. So if you get the question, you've got to flat bat it. You've got to navigate it in a different way. You cannot say you were on your own. Because if you do, you're not only throwing two teammates under the bus, you're making yourself look foolish if it comes out. And you're also making Brendan McCullum and Rob Key look foolish because of their participation in the cover-up. So sometimes the worst thing is to cover the thing up because, there's nothing worse than uncovering a cover-up because at the end of the day, it's a hell of a lot worse than the actual incident itself. So I'm sitting halfway through the second T20 going, this story's coming out. Harry Brook's about to make a statement. I'm expecting Harry Brook to resign. I'm thinking Harry Brook is making a statement to resign. It's like, because he can't say anything else. What is he going to say? He makes up, the ECB have put him in front of the media. He comes and says what he needs to say. And I'm expecting the England captain to say, look, hands up, I confess, made a mistake. I lied in the press conference. I have to resign for the captaincy of the white ball team. But to apologise for the apology, that then makes a mockery of what has been happening behind the scenes over the course of the Ashes. So this is why I say it. I'll always back Keezy. I always think he's brilliant. I always think he's done a really, really good job because we'll talk about the Lions later in the show. We'll talk about the programs that ECB have put in place. We'll talk about, thinking outside the box, because when he came in, we were 1 win from 17. We asked for something different, and we've got something different, and largely of it has been quite positive up until the Ashes debacle. But unfortunately, when it comes to it, and I think when it all settles down, somebody does a really sort of thorough review of what's been happening, then unfortunately, I think there are positions that are going to come under question. And Rob's, Brendan's, I think Ben Stokes comes out of this not too badly because he wasn't in New Zealand. And obviously Harry Brook, I think once the World Cup's gone, I think he might find himself back in the ranks and as a player only. But I'm loath to saying we make knee-jerk reactions, and we need to find out the whole incident and what timeline we've had up until the nightclub incident and Harry Brook apologising for the apology, and that there until it's all come out in the wash. I still think there's probably more to come. I really do. I think there is a lot more to come.
Yeah, and once you're told lies twice, you begin to think, what else aren't we being told? Thing is, Harmy, it was put to me by a former player who said, don't mention my name because he's still very much involved in the game in England. He said, but the logic was obviously right at the very beginning is not to let the nightclub incident become public in order to prevent a media feeding frenzy in Australia. It'll undermine the Ashes campaign, so we'll do this. We'll cover it up just to protect our brilliantly planned Ashes campaign, which is the thinking of a 7-year-old. It's happened. It happened. There will be video footage of it. It will come out. We cannot pretend it didn't happen. But if that was the logic. And then they've done it again. No, I didn't do it, Mum. I didn't do it. Well, I found it under your bed, son. No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It's that's untenable with elite management.
Yeah, and that's from all the way to the top. That goes higher for me than Rob Key. That's the two Richards of. And like you say, yes, it was. It was like telling mum lies, and yeah, I found it. You've done it. Hold your hands up. But when they talk about the media frenzy in Australia, what's more to add to the list? One more to add to the list? One more the media frenzy in Australia is ridiculous anyway. So it could have gotten swept up well before the first Test match. Even if you find out that Harry was in the nightclub and Bethel and Tongue were in the nightclub after the third ODI, you can still make a statement. You can make a statement. You find the guys an awful lot of money. You put them on report of future conduct. You take the white ball captaincy off him. That is probably what could have happened because you can't suspend him. And if you suspend him for the first Test match, is that too harsh? All these things that probably would have been going through their minds. And the one thing that was probably the worst thing, that the outcome that from you're damned if you do and damned if you don't in this situation. The problem is sometimes you have to own up. When you've made a mistake, you hands up, you own the mistake, you apologize, and your actions in the future will slowly but surely earn the trust back of your teammates, your employers, and the wider general public of supporters. And I think that could have come during the Ashes, because Harry Brook has had this on his shoulders for the whole of the Ashes. Look at the individual, the personnel that were involved. They must have been affected during that series because they knew that somebody got the video. Ben Duckett got drunk, couldn't find his way home, was in a video. Once the Ashes started and got moving and got going, it was more about how Mitchell Starc was getting Ben Duckett out rather than being drunk on the side of the road. Who cares? It's gone. It's moved on. Now, the cover-up, to prevent a cover-up, to prevent a cover-up, to prevent a cover-up, just because you're thinking the Ashes is the biggest thing, it would have got gobbled up in second, third, fourth day of a news story, and then you would have just gone on. But now, I mean, lying to protect the cover up, it's worse than the actual story and the event itself.
Yeah, well, there are sound cricketing reasons for Harry Brook not being captain as well. There's workload, and also the fact that the media. Do you remember I said to you years ago when, before Ben Stokes was appointed, when it was we were discussing the merits of making him Test captain, I said it's the media that I worry about. It's the 2 or 3 hours of captaincy media commitments before, after games, before tours. And Harry just looks like he's in the headmaster's office. With every media interview, he doesn't enjoy it. He's not really tolerating it. And there is his genius on the field as well. And if that is affected by the captaincy, and I think it almost inevitably will be, then there are good reasons, cricketing reasons,